and welcome to a new vlog. Now look, the last vlog has been, and it's going to be a big thank you to all the viewers and definitely all the new subscribers, because it was one of the best vlogs I've ever had, or should I say the best views. It's reached up to like 10,000 in a week, and that for my channel is like off the Richter scale. So a big thank you. Now, just coming back to that vlog, it's talked about deals going to liquidation, and I heard a bit more about the unfortunate thing at Robinson's at Chesterfield. I believe people got locked in even trying to retrieve the caravans by the administrators. Anyway, the police got that all sorted out, but I know some people have been left in a bit of a bad way with their caravans, especially one couple, I think, with a Swift, and they've got lots of problems with repair work on that. So I do sympathise with people that have had that problem of going and getting retrieving the vans, and it's not been done, or it's just been left in a poor state of repair in effect. The interesting thing about that vlog was that everybody was sort of saying, well, stuff the dealers basically, and even a little bit of the manufacturers. Now I can see where you're coming from, and you know, let's face it, when there is an artificial amount of profiteering going on, we know that's never going to last, and COVID was never going to last. It was never going to carry on, obviously. Yes, you hope you get some new people in who wouldn't have gone caravanning or using a motorhome or holiday home, and they stay with you. Now, one of the big things I used to say to a lot of the dealers was this: you know, look, it needs to be telling me about all the sales that we're getting and people coming in. I said, look, that's the easy part. And they said, what do you mean? The hardest part is keeping those people. So A, you've got to have good service. B, you need to have a good product to go out there so people aren't coming back and whinging about things that shouldn't be happening, like windows dropping out and things like that, and water ingress. I said, and the manufacturers have also got to really tighten the game up. It's not a case of just churning these vans out, because a lot of these caravans are going out to new people who had never caravan before and liked it, but they had problems with the caravan and they started having problems with the dealers stroke manufacturers. Look, we've got to remember is the caravan industry is nowhere like the car industry at all. It's a different thing altogether. And if we really want to start to look back at a time when caravan manufacturing was trying to get into like the car type of thinking, was with Caravans International. The original Caravans International, which was formed in 1963, I'll bore you with a bit of history. It was formed by Sam Alper, Bill Knott, merging with Bluebird Caravans and Sprite Ettles, and Sam Alper became controlling chairman of it, and Bill Knott went off to do other things. Now that left a very big company with massive buying power. But Sam Alper, who I did get to know actually about 5 or 6 years before he sadly died, had some good long chats with Sam, and he was interested, I was interested in the industry, and he told me a lot of things that I just didn't know, and you know, those were absolute nuggets of information that were used in the books. And one of the things was that he wanted to get the caravan industry a proper organisation where we had set dealers. Those dealers had parts and spares delivered on time. The people that worked at the dealers knew the product that they were selling, inside out basically. So they went back to the factory, in this case Caravan International, and they'd have training courses there, and this was going on back in the 1960s. Sam Alper's company, Sprite, Caravan International, bought out other companies, coupling manufacturers, even a Danish awning manufacturer. which are called OBI awnings, and they were just sort of made to fit the Sprite brands and Pharaoh and all the other brands that CI made. But also, what Sam Alper did was he actually had the CI dealers and said, look, this is the colour coding for your premises. These are the CI colours, you know, and if you have an open day weekend, we will supply X amount of things, the buntings, all that business as used to do, and also help publicise the fact that you've got an open day at your dealership. And also what Sam did, he made sure that all the parts were catalogued on, in those days, microfilm. That would be quite a big undertaking to do, but that was the way he wanted to do it, and he wanted to get the dealers. So he wanted to go soulless in the end, which he did, doing about 1972-73. Upset a lot of dealers in the UK, but he said, look, you've got to sell the CI brands, which were Sprite, Eccles, Pharaoh and Europa, but you can sell a luxury brand that doesn't compete with our brands. So you've got something else there for people to choose, but mainly people will come into the dealership. There'll be a CI Caravan range there. They know that means that they'll get the backup, the service, and also, I mean, in the end, they got finance deals going and extended warranties. So Sam was really leading the field, and he wanted deliveries of parts there every couple of weeks. So nobody was really waiting for weeks and weeks and weeks for parts. Very ahead of thinking. Unfortunately, CI went to liquidation in 1982. But anyway, let's get just round that. Let's just skirt from that now, from the service backup, because things should have got better over the years, and sometimes they have, and other times they haven't. It depends on dealers. It depends on who's there. It depends if, particularly, you know, some people have been there for years and a customer deals with them and it gets done, and then they go and it's somebody new, and you know, they lose that relationship with them, and maybe that person doesn't stop very long at that dealership and clears off, and an ongoing problem becomes a massive ongoing problem. So I can see where everyone's coming on with the manufacturers. Yes, there was some shoddy work done in COVID. That was down to manufacturers struggling to get the parts. A dealer told me they bought a new Bailey in, and they found it was an old fridge model in it that had been fitted, purely and simply because they didn't have the new one available. And I suppose they found one kicking around somewhere. I know another dealer actually took a new van in, got a new van for a new customer, and within a couple of weeks the guy was bringing it back. He said he got water coming in the windows, there was a few things that dropped off it. So they said, look, okay, what we will do, we will swap it like that. We've got another brand new one sat here, you can take that. So the customer did, and he took it, and basically a couple of months later, back again, leaking again, same place in the front window, and again also the bits and pieces just not fitted right, dropping off. This time the customer demanded, look, I don't know, I'm not even going to bother with the Caravan anymore, I just want the money back. And so the dealer gave him his money back. The dealer actually lost about £6,000, they were telling me, and they said it's just like, you know, they felt let down because they'd lost a customer. They'd also found the fact is that they just don't be messing about repairing brand new Caravans. It's ridiculous, especially in this day and age. So I do sympathise with everybody's had other problems, and everybody, but let's not slate off too many dealers, because you know there are some good ones out there, and we do need them. I mean, you look at places like Scotland, their dealers now in Scotland are very few and far between. You know, I look back 30-40 years and they had a lot more dealers. Those dealers have all gone by the wayside, and of course it's the same here in the rest of the UK. Now I'm going to give you a quick history lesson, so be prepared to sort of get yourself a cup of tea and put your feet up, and those who just don't know the history lesson will just go now. Right, Let's go back to the late 60s when the caravan industry was booming. Manufacturers, 30 odd manufacturers, 60, 70,000 caravans being produced a year, 20, 30,000 going for exports, mainly to Holland, Belgium, and into Germany. Everything was going great. And then 1972, 73, the oil crisis came along, VAT gets introduced, inflation starts, a 3-day week comes on, the coal strike, the power cuts. All of a sudden, inflation went rampant. Caravans with the VAT on, instead of being £400 or £500 like they've been for years on end, for sort of like a 12'6" 4-berth Tourer, we're now £700 to £800. Sales declined, stocks were left with dealers, a lot of discounting going on, some of the manufacturers went to the wall, but by the late sort of 76, 77, things meted out a little bit better, but we're only down to about 40,000, 43, 44,000 Tourers being produced. By 1979, big slump came along, and this was a real massive one. I remember this. I remember the other one as a kid, but this time as a young adult. And I can remember seeing names like Astral Caravans going, A-Line Caravans going, Sterling Caravans going, Thompson Caravans going. These are all big names. And even the CI group crashing in 1982. Things were bad. ABI were on a 3-day week. ABI were literally close to the edge of things. Casolts, who made Abbey and Pipers, they again were the same. And what went on was then a big price cutting exercise. ABI, who then had the Ace range, Monzas, Marauders. Well, they had Marauders in 1980-81. The Marauders had come out to 84, but they produced a range of Tourers, different price brackets. Avondale were the same by that time. And Abbey Caravans, Casolt, actually were in major competition with ABI on slashing the prices, and CI had a lot of unsold stock. They tried to sort of slash prices, but at the end of the day they just went to the wall. Big problem there was more stock of CI caravans in dealers than people thought, and a lot of the other manufacturers at the time thought they were going to sort of quite mop up where CI had gone, and it wasn't the case. CI reformed, a lot smaller, half the size of the original company, if not even quarter the size, and built slowly back up again, but they had lots of ups and downs. Eventually got bought out, became Sprite Leisure, and then Sprite Leisure was bought out in 1994 by the Swift Group, and Swift transferred everything up to Cottingham and closed the Newmarket plant down, sadly. But anyway, that's how it goes. So we had that really tight spell, 1979, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, things just started to pick up. Manufacturers had slowed the production down, a lot had gone to the wall, and then there was an upturn. 84, 85, there was an upturn. But manufacturers a bit, to get the whole thing back rolling again, to keep up demand. We had a few new manufacturers like Van Royth Caravans, Coachman turned up, of course. And we were on a bit of a boom again. We'd lost some dealers as well in the early 80s, some big dealers, people like the Gailey Group. They had about 15 branches as far up to the edge of Scotland. And they just collapsed. They just went. There was later on there were people like Spondons were a big Derby company. There was Goodall's at Huddersfield. They'd really come up through the ranks, and by the sort of late 80s they were really sort of cooking on gas, as it were. But they went by the early 90s. It was really tragic, really, the way these things did, and a lot of smaller deals just disappeared. So back into the 90s, again a bit of a slump. We find people like Besker struggling, Van Royce getting bought out by ABI then going to liquidation, ABI then becomes reborn as ABI UK by 1998-99. Again, a lot of the assets of ABI were sold off. Swift in the meantime have expanded quite nicely. Peter Smith, who's in charge of Swift, very shrewd cookie, and he'd bought land when the time was right, expanded the factory, expanded his range, and Swift were making a bloody good product. They still do today, of course. Well, I think so anyway. And they really were doing well when a lot of the other manufacturers in the early 90s were struggling a bit more. Same with Eldis, they were doing all right as well. But basically, there's always been that up and down flow, mainly from the mid-70s, early 80s, again in the early 90s, a bit in the 2000s, early 2000s, and now we're seeing it all happen again. The trouble is now we haven't got the manufacturers that we had back then. People like Avondale and Avondale Abbey and Fleetwood, they've all gone, and it's a real shame. So the UK caravan industry, really, you've just got the main players. You've got Swift, Eldis, they've dropped Compass, so that's another brand out of the way. We've lost Luna, which still, sadly, I still feel gutted for Luna, because they could have done, they'd have got their act together and sunk a lot of money into motorhome side of things. They could still be with us today, and I think producing some good range of Taurus, and a lightweight range would have been very good now for some of the hybrid cars and things that are now being used as tow cars. So consequently, we've got very few people left, Coachman and Bailey, and there's, of course, there's Adria, and the Adria, I mean, at the moment having a bit of a hard time. The price on their motorhomes have gone up tremendously. They're a nice motorhome, but they've gone quite expensive. The show, the NEC, there's the smallest Adria stand I've ever seen well, I think I've ever seen actually. So yeah, so it just shows how things are. I spoke to a dealer friend of mine, I won't name him, and I said to him at the show, how's it going? And he just said, do you know what? He said, the caravan side of things, he says, it's just been hammered, he said. The problem is massive big problem where people come after 4 years trading the van, and their van's here and the new van's there, and there's a lot of money to lay out, 20 grand, he said, and people are just going, no, not doing it, can't do it. So you've got that problem. Yes, we know the caravans are they are very expensive. As like I keep saying to people, they've become a lifestyle caravan and not really a value for money holiday package as it used to be. I think we'll see a lot of people coming out of caravanning. There might be a lot of used caravans going up for sale, private sales, I think, for some people who just think it's just gone too expensive. And that's a shame, because caravan, as we know, is a very good way of seeing the UK. It's brilliant, and the freedom of it. But again, you know, we've talked about the site fees, and site fees have gone up. Let's face it, everything's just gone up, and it's affected the sites, it's affected people using the site. Even me, I can't afford to now go and use my caravan at the moment. It's as simple as that. Like I've said before, you know, all my earnings have been halved, and yet all my costings have gone up. It's really been very tough, and my caravan just sits there and it's just gotten used. I can't afford a new one, even if I wanted one, and my main objective this year is to get that van out. At least we can get a weekend with it, especially with the grandchild as well. It'd be great. Plus as well, I want to do a cleaning video on it as well, because it's never been cleaned for 4 years now. Again, that never happened in the Jenkinson household, so my caravans get washed and polished about every 5 to 6 weeks. So the good thing is it's undercover, it's just covered in dust, thick dust. So anyway, let's get back to what we were doing. Yes, so I understand people didn't have a lot of sympathy for the manufacturers, didn't have a lot of sympathy for the dealers, say we're getting ripped off, parts are expensive, people related prices like for taps were 30, 40, 50 quid, and they could get them somewhere else cheaper. That's always been the case in caravans. The parts have always been more dear, more expensive. And that's part of it, I'm afraid. So what else can I say? Well, look, I'm going to be going off to a couple of dealers hopefully this next few days, and I'm going to do a bit of questioning and asking them who'll do what's what, and find out what's happening. I think used sales around about £7,000 or £8,000 mark, especially family vans, a decent van, that'll do okay. They'll still sell okay, but I think the higher end up stuff, the heavier stuff, may start to be the problem, and that could be, we could see quite a few big twins hanging around at discounted prices. So let's hope the weather improves, because that's going to make a big, I mean, one of the people commented on that video was about the weather as well, and that is absolutely a key factor. And looking at it so far, it's going to be wet, it's going to be cold. You know, come on, we need a decent bit of weather now to kickstart things up, because when it does, you know, those who can afford to buy a caravan will go out and look now at this time of year. So I'm going to go and look at some used stuff. Sorry for that little bit of a history lesson, but all the peaks and troughs that this industry's seen, and I've seen them, and I've experienced them, and I just hope this downward turn that we've had now is going to level itself out. Interest rates look set to start to drop. Energy bills, well, yes, it's trying to come down, and they need to do, because God, my energy bill is just phenomenal. I just don't know how, we've just had to rely on savings this year to pay the bills, and that's how bad things have got. A different story from 3 or 4 years ago, but COVID may have done the industry great, but on my side of the industry, it slaughtered us, and it's never recovered. So again, a big thank you for everybody subscribed. Big thank you for all those people who have been watching, and all the people who have been commenting. You know, it's been fantastic. I've never known anything like it on my channel. It's been fantastic. I'm really thrilled, and it's pushed us up now to nearly 1 million views on the channel since it started at the back end of 2018. So it was at the end of October, beginning of November when the first video went out. I think we only put about 2 or 3 videos out that year to the tail end, and it's always been a learning curve, and it still is. So I'll see you on the next video. Please keep watching, please keep subscribing, and also please keep giving me your comments, and I just love to hear from you. And don't forget the Facebook page, the Caravan Industry Expert, is also available. You can message me on there. There's other bits of news goes on. There's Caravan History Books Facebook page, gives you updates on the books, so the latest things, what's happening on that. So yes, so there's plenty to go on. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Hopefully it'll be soon, and hopefully it's absolutely throwing it down out there. Stopped. It's stopped, but it's absolutely throwing it down. The rain will have stopped. I think I'll be building an ark, I don't have anything else. Anyway, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks again for watching.